The deception begins. Captain Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the massive alien fleet approaching through the view screen. 300 Zephyr warships, each one 3 times the size of his own vessel, moved in perfect formation toward Earth's outer colonies. The crimson hulls gleamed like drops of blood against the star field, and their weapons systems pulsed with ominous energy. "Sir, the Zephyrians are demanding our surrender," reported Lieutenant Victoria Cross from the communication station. Her voice remained steady despite the impossible odds they faced. "They are giving us 1 hour before they begin their assault on New Geneva." Kane gripped a railing, his knuckles white. Humanity had been part of the Galactic Council for only 5 years, barely long enough to establish a few mining colonies in neighboring systems. They were still considered the newest, weakest members of the interstellar community. Most species viewed humans as primitive upstarts who had somehow stumbled into space travel. The Zephyrians, however, had grown tired of human expansion. They claimed the asteroid belt around New Geneva belonged to them by ancient treaty, despite the fact that humans had been mining there for 3 years without any previous objections. It was clear they simply wanted to test the newest species, to see if humanity would roll over and submit to their demands. "Status report," Kane ordered, his mind racing through impossible scenarios. "We have 12 frigates, 8 destroyers, and 2 cruisers," replied Commander David Stone, his tactical officer. "Total crew across the fleet, 14,000 souls. The Zephyrians outnumber us 15 to 1, and their ships pack enough firepower to glass a planet." Kane had served in Earth's Navy for 23 years, working his way up from a junior officer to fleet commander. He had fought pirates in the Outer Rim and led rescue missions through dangerous space. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. Humanity's entire colonial fleet faced annihilation, and Earth itself might be next if they showed weakness. "Sir." "Incoming message from Admiral Vextar of the Zephyrian fleet," Cross announced. The main screen flickered, revealing a massive reptilian creature with scales that shifted from deep purple to black. Vextar's yellow eyes gleamed with predatory intelligence, and his voice carried the weight of absolute authority when he spoke. "Human Commander, your species has trespassed on sacred Zephyrian territory. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences. You have 1 hour to comply." Kane stepped forward, projecting confidence he didn't feel. "Admiral Vextar, this system was unclaimed when we arrived. Our surveys showed no previous settlements or territorial markers. We are prepared to negotiate a peaceful solution." The alien's laughter sounded like grinding metal. "Negotiate? Your primitive vessels are barely worthy of our notice. Submit now, or watch your colonies burn." The transmission ended, leaving Kane staring at the tactical display. 14,000 human lives depended on his next decision. Conventional tactics would be suicide against such overwhelming odds. But as he studied the enemy formation, a desperate plan began forming in his mind. "Commander Stone, begin transmitting false sensor data to the Zephyrian fleet. I want them to see phantom ships approaching from multiple vectors. Make it look like we have reinforcements coming." "Sir, they'll see through basic sensor spoofing within minutes," Stone protested. Kane smiled grimly. "Then we'd better make those minutes count. Lieutenant Cross, open a channel to all ships. It's time to show these aliens what human creativity looks like." The Phantom Fleet. Kane's voice echoed across every human ship in the fleet as he addressed his captains. "Listen carefully. We are outnumbered and outgunned, but we have something the Zephyrians don't expect: human ingenuity. We are going to make them believe they are facing a force they can't defeat. Captain Jennifer Hayes of the destroyer Prometheus was the first to respond. Sir, with respect, how do we make 22 ships look like a fleet that can challenge 300 Zephyrian warships? We don't make them look bigger, Kane replied. We make them look more dangerous. Commander Stone, upload the Trojan Horse Protocol to all vessels. Every ship needs to begin broadcasting false energy signatures immediately. The Trojan Horse Protocol was a desperate gambit Kane had developed during his academy days but had never tested in real combat. By carefully modulating their engines and power systems, human ships could project the energy signature of much larger, more powerful vessels. It was an old smuggler's trick, expanded and refined for military use. Across the fleet, engineering teams worked frantically to implement the deception. The mining ship Harvest Moon, barely armed with basic defense turrets, began broadcasting the energy signature of a massive dreadnought. The medical frigate Mercy projected the profile of a heavy cruiser bristling with weapons it didn't actually possess. Sir, the Zephyrians are starting to scan our false signatures, reported Stone. Their sensors are picking up what appears to be a fleet of 60 heavy warships, including several dreadnoughts and a massive command ship. Kane nodded. Phase 2. Begin the ghost ship maneuver. The human fleet suddenly scattered in all directions, each ship following a carefully choreographed pattern. As they moved, they deployed thousands of sensor drones, each one programmed to mimic the signature of a human vessel. Within minutes, what appeared to be 22 ships had become over 200 individual contacts on Zephyrian sensors. On the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Vextar stared at his tactical display in growing confusion. These readings cannot be accurate. Where did all these human ships come from? His tactical officer, a younger Zephyrian named Subcommander Crixtal, studied the data carefully. Admiral, our deep space sensors show no signs of additional human fleets in the region. These ships appeared suddenly, as if they were hiding behind some form of advanced cloaking technology. Vextar's scales rippled with uncertainty. The Zephyrian Empire prided itself on technological superiority, but these humans were displaying capabilities that hadn't appeared in any intelligence reports. What kind of weapons are they carrying? Unknown, sir. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. Some of these vessels appear to be generating power levels comparable to our own dreadnoughts. Meanwhile, Kane watched his deception unfold with grim satisfaction. The human ships continued their complex dance, each movement designed to reinforce the illusion of a massive, technologically advanced fleet. Sensor drones projected false weapon signatures, making it appear as though human ships carried exotic energy weapons and defensive systems far beyond their actual capabilities. Captain, the Zephyrians are requesting a parley, cross-announced Kane. Suppressed a smile. The bluff was working. Put them through. Vextar's image reappeared on the main screen, but his posture had changed subtly. The arrogant confidence was gone, replaced by wary respect. Human Commander, it appears we underestimated your fleet's capabilities. Perhaps negotiation would be preferable to unnecessary conflict. Admiral, I'm glad you are willing to discuss this rationally, Kane replied smoothly. However, I should point out that you are currently surrounded. My scout ships have taken positions behind your fleet, and our heavy assault vessels are preparing to demonstrate their capabilities. It was a complete fabrication, but the sensor Ghosts made it appear real on Zephyrian displays. Kane could see the alien admiral's uncertainty growing as he processed the tactical situation that seemed to have shifted dramatically in humanity's favor. "What do you propose?" Vextar asked carefully. "Simple. Withdraw your fleet, acknowledge human territorial claims in this system, and we'll consider this a diplomatic misunderstanding rather than an act of war." The alien admiral's eyes narrowed. But he was clearly calculating odds he no longer understood. The galactic audience unknown to either fleet, the confrontation was being observed by dozens of alien species throughout the galaxy. News of a potential conflict between the Zephyrian Empire and the newcomer humans had spread quickly through diplomatic channels, and many civilizations had dispatched long-range observation vessels to witness the outcome.The. Elena Vasquez, humanity's ambassador to the Galactic Council, watched the proceedings from the Council station orbiting the neutral world of Kepler Prime. She stood in the observation deck alongside representatives from 20 different species, each one eager to see how the youngest member of the galactic community would handle their first major crisis. "The humans are doomed," declared Ambassador Throlic of the Centaurian Federation, his crystalline form shimmering with what might have been amusement. 22 primitive vessels against the Zephyrian fleet. "This will be over in minutes." "Counselor." Kesh of the Mollusk Collective agreed, her tentacles writhing with excitement. "Perhaps this will teach other young species about respecting established territorial boundaries. The Zephyrians are performing a valuable service." Vasquez remained silent, watching the tactical display with growing amazement. The human fleet appeared to have multiplied tenfold, and their energy signatures suggested technological capabilities that shouldn't exist. She knew Earth's actual military strength, and what she was seeing was impossible. Then she understood. Captain Kane wasn't just fighting the Zephyrians, he was performing for the entire galaxy. Every sensor reading, every apparent weapon signature, was being recorded and analyzed by dozens of alien intelligence services. By the time this confrontation ended, every major power in the galaxy would believe humanity possessed military technology far beyond their actual capabilities. "Fascinating," murmured Dr. Xanthek, the insectoid representative from the academic consortium. "These human vessels are generating energy patterns I've never encountered. Their weapon systems appear to operate on principles unknown to galactic science." The Zephyrian fleet had stopped its advance and was now holding position while Admiral Vextar apparently negotiated with the human commander. The alien observers watched in stunned silence as it became clear that the massive Zephyrian armada was actually intimidated by the tiny human force. Ambassador Throlic's crystalline structure suddenly dimmed with shock. "This is impossible. How are 22 ships holding off 300 Zephyrian warships?" "Perhaps," Vasquez said quietly, "you've underestimated human capabilities." Back in the New Geneva system, Kane was pushing his bluff to its absolute limit. "Admiral Vextar, my patience is wearing thin. You have 5 minutes to begin your withdrawal, or I'll be forced to demonstrate our new graviton pulse weapons." Graviton pulse weapons didn't exist, but the sensor signatures his ships were broadcasting made it appear as though they possessed exotic technologies that could manipulate gravity itself. The Zephyrian sensors were detecting energy patterns that suggested weapons capable of tearing apart the fabric of spacetime. Vextar's tactical officer was feeding him increasingly alarming reports. "Admiral, if these readings are accurate, their weapons could destabilize our entire fleet formation. A single graviton pulse could create a cascade effect that would destroy dozens of our ships." The truth was far simpler. Lieutenant James Park, Kane's chief engineer, was using the mining ship's industrial equipment to create the false energy signatures. The harvest moons or processing systems, when properly modulated, could generate readings that resembled exotic weapon signatures to sensors designed to detect known technologies. "Sir, the Zephyrians are powering down their weapons," Stone reported with barely contained excitement. "They are beginning to withdraw from the system." Kane allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before addressing his fleet. "All ships maintain the deception until the Zephyrian fleet reaches the edge of the system. Do not break character under any circumstances." The withdrawal took 3 hours, during which the human fleet maintained their elaborate charade. Sensor drones continued to project false signatures, ships maintained their energy profiles of advanced warships. And the Phantom Fleet kept the Zephyrians convinced they were facing a technological superior force. As the last Zephyrian ship disappeared into hyperspace, Kane finally allowed his shoulders to slump with exhaustion. The galaxy takes notice. News of humanity's victory spread through the galaxy faster than light-speed communications. Within hours, every major civilization was analyzing the sensor data from the New Geneva system, trying to understand how such a small human force had defeated the mighty Zephyrian fleet without firing a single shot. On the trading world of Nexus Station, merchant captain Zara Okonkwo found herself suddenly popular with alien traders who had previously ignored human goods. The Altarian spice merchants who had dismissed her cargo holds as primitive containers were now offering premium prices for her agricultural products, assuming they were produced using advanced human biotechnology. Captain Okonkwo called Merchant Prince Veltar, his 6 arms gesturing excitedly. "We must discuss exclusive trading arrangements. Surely a species capable of developing graviton pulse weapons has revolutionized agricultural techniques as well." Zara kept her expression neutral while internally laughing. The cargo hold contained nothing more exotic than wheat, soybeans, and corn from Earth's farming colonies. But the galaxy's perception of human capabilities had shifted overnight, and she wasn't about to correct their assumptions. Meanwhile, at the Galactic Council station, emergency sessions were being called to discuss the human threat. Species that had barely acknowledged Earth's existence were now demanding intelligence briefings on humanity's military capabilities. Fleet Admiral Harrison Cole, Earth's highest-ranking military officer, stood before the assembled council with the bearing of a man holding all the cards. In reality, he was desperately trying to maintain the illusion that Kane had created while frantically working to develop actual technologies that might justify the galaxy's new fear of human capabilities. "Honored representatives," Cole addressed the Council, "Earth regrets that the Zephyrian Empire forced us to reveal our defensive capabilities. We had hoped to maintain peaceful relations without displaying our military technologies." Council Speaker Mordak, an ancient being whose species had ruled the galaxy for millennia, leaned forward with obvious concern. "Admiral Cole, the weapon signatures detected in the New Geneva system represent technologies unknown to galactic science. How long has Earth possessed such capabilities?" Cole had rehearsed this moment during the 3-day journey to the Council station. "Our scientists have been working on advanced propulsion and defensive systems since we first encountered galactic civilization. The graviton pulse weapons were a natural development of our gravity manipulation research." It was technically true. Earth scientists were researching gravity manipulation, though they were decades away from any practical applications. The beauty of the deception was that it was impossible to disprove without actually attacking human forces, something no species was willing to risk after witnessing the apparent fate of the Zephyrian fleet. The Actisian delegate, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with visible anxiety. Admiral, your species has only been spacefaring for 50 years. Such rapid technological development is unprecedented. Humans are highly adaptable, Cole replied simply. We learn quickly from new challenges. Back on Earth, teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock to develop actual technologies that might support the illusion. Dr. Michael Torres, head of the Theoretical Physics Division, had been tasked with creating functioning prototypes of the weapons systems the Galaxy believed humans already possessed. The graviton pulse concept is theoretically possible, Torres explained to his team during their daily briefing. We are essentially trying to reverse engineer technologies that don't exist based on sensor signatures we faked. It's like trying to build a castle from a photograph of clouds shaped like a castle. Despite the impossibility of the task, human ingenuity began to produce results. Within weeks, Earth's research stations were developing technologies that approached the capabilities their military had pretended to possess. The fake graviton pulse weapons inspired real research into gravity manipulation. The phantom sensor signatures led to breakthroughs in stealth technology and electronic warfare systems. Captain Kane, now promoted to Admiral for his role in the New Geneva incident, found himself in command of humanity's first real space fleet. The victory over the Zephyrians had convinced the Galactic Council to approve massive military aid packages, providing Earth with advanced materials and manufacturing techniques to build the fleet the Galaxy believed they already possessed. It's ironic, Kane remarked to his former tactical officer, now Captain Stone. We bluffed our way to victory, and now we are being given the resources to make the bluff real. The Defiance had been retrofitted with actual advanced weapons systems, a gift from the Andromedan Alliance, who desperately wanted to maintain good relations with the species that had apparently humiliated the Zephyrian Empire. Kane's bridge now featured technology that made his original deception look primitive by comparison, but the Galaxy's perception of human capabilities continued to grow beyond reality. The Terran Empire rises 2 years after the New Geneva incident. Humanity had become one of the most feared and respected powers in the galaxy. What had begun as a desperate bluff had evolved into genuine technological superiority as Earth scientists worked tirelessly to live up to the reputation their military had created. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the UES Sovereign, humanity's first true dreadnought. The massive vessel incorporated technologies from dozens of alien species, all eager to share their knowledge with the civilization that had apparently developed graviton pulse weapons in secret. The irony was not lost on him that humanity's greatest military victory had been achieved through pure deception. Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command, reported Captain Lisa Morgan, Kane's new communications officer. The Galactic Council is requesting human assistance with the Vortine uprising in the Rigel sector. Kane nodded thoughtfully. The Vortine were a warrior species that had been raiding Council territories for months, believing that the galaxy's established powers had grown soft and weak. They had apparently not received the memo about humanity's new status. Set course for the Rigel sector, Kane ordered. It's time to field test our new technologies. The human task force that jumped into the Rigel system bore little resemblance to the desperate fleet that had faced the Zephyrians 2 years earlier. 12 massive dreadnoughts, supported by 40 cruisers and countless smaller vessels, emerged from hyperspace with energy signatures that made the Vortine sensors scream warnings, but this time, the weapons were real, the graviton pulse cannons that Dr. Torres had developed were functional, if not quite as devastating as the galaxy believed. Human ships now carried actual stealth systems, real directed energy weapons, and defensive shields that incorporated principles learned from studying alien technology. Warlord Cathrak of the Vortine fleet studied the human vessels with growing unease. His intelligence reports indicated that this was the same species that had somehow defeated the Zephian Empire without firing a shot. The energy readings from their weapons systems suggested capabilities that exceeded even his own advanced warships. Human commander Cathrak transmitted, the Vortine Empire claims this territory by right of conquest. Withdraw immediately or face destruction. Kane's response was broadcast across all frequencies, ensuring that every ship in the system could hear his words. Warlord Cathrak, by order of the Galactic Council, you are commanded to cease hostilities and withdraw from Council space. This is your only warning. The Vortine leader's laughter echoed through space. Humans think they can intimidate the Vortine. Your tricks worked on the cowardly Zephyrians, but we are warriors born. Attack us if you dare. Kane sighed softly. Unlike the Zephian confrontation, this battle would require actual violence. All ships implement the Hammer of Sol protocol. Let's show them what humanity has learned. The first graviton pulse struck the Vortine flagship like an invisible fist of gods. The exotic weapon didn't destroy the massive vessel instantly. Instead, it created localized gravity distortions that crushed sections of the hull while leaving other areas untouched. The effect was far more terrifying than simple destruction, as it demonstrated a level of technological sophistication that could selectively disable enemy vessels. The Vortine fleet, composed of nearly 200 warships, found themselves facing weapons they couldn't understand or counter. Human stealth technology made ships appear and disappear on sensors. Directed energy weapons struck with precision that seemed almost supernatural. And the graviton pulse cannons created effects that violated every known principle of space combat. Within 6 hours, the Vortine uprising was over. Warlord Cathrak himself transmitted his surrender from the bridge of his crippled flagship, though Kane made sure to spare most of the enemy fleet. Dead martyrs were less useful than living witnesses. To human military capabilities, the victory cemented humanity's reputation as the galaxy's newest superpower. Species that had ruled space lanes for millennia now sought human approval for their activities. Trade routes shifted to accommodate human interests. The Galactic Council formally recognized Earth as a major power, with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed, but perhaps the most significant change was in humanity itself. The species that had bluffed its way to galactic prominence had discovered something profound about their own nature. When faced with impossible odds, humans didn't surrender or despair. They innovated, adapted, and found ways to turn weakness into strength.The. Torres, now director of the Human Technologies Institute, reflected on this transformation during a conference on Mars. We pretended to have advanced weapons until we actually developed them. We acted like a major power until we became one. In a strange way, our greatest strength isn't our technology or our military might, it's our ability to become whatever we need to be. The Terran Empire, as it was now known throughout the galaxy, had risen from a single desperate bluff to become the force that maintained peace among the stars. And somewhere in the vast reaches of space, other young civilizations looked to humanity's example, wondering if they too might find the courage to reach beyond their limitations. The galaxy had feared human technology, never realizing that humanity's greatest weapon was something far more dangerous: the refusal to accept that anything was impossible.